Hey guys, it's my Tyler TEW here. I wanted to open the show just kind of. I had to redo the intro for this episode because it just sounds bad, and I figured I'd just do it here. Sorry for the lack of uploads. I usually, it's like the fifth time I apologize, but I just been taking a much needed break from my YouTube stuff. Also, I've just been school started back up, and I only really do one class, but I actually I'm making basically a little mini movie, two of them, and you have to do a lot of work for that. Like, it's not just like some shit you can cobble together. And also, just besides that, I've also been working. I'm gonna link in the comments section of this video some of the work I've done, just in case you were curious about that. It's not even on the main channel, it's on the someone else's channel. I'm getting paid for it, so that's really cool. But I am going to get in the swing of TEW stuff. Because basically right now I'm on call, basically, for other people, so while I'm on call, I'm just at the computer to edit, basically. I'm on call to edit, is essentially what I'm doing, so while I'm doing that, I'll edit TEW stuff. I'm also going to have, like, a little update video, about like announcements and stuff, like for not really anything major, just like a live stream maybe and stuff like that. So I will see you guys for that. But here is SmackDown, the long-awaited SmackDown episode for the WWE save. So we have some pre-show matches, stuff, tight beat. We have Miami Vices taking on the team of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa from FCW. I had a feeling these guys might be a tag team later, down the line. I don't know. It's kind of an original idea. Don't steal OC type beat. But yeah, no, Miami Vices take on the two, and they, of course, beat them. It's a nice little sprint, it's a pre-show match. I always like to give the guys on the pre-show match a little bit of time. So, they beat him in 9 minutes 44 when Roderick Strong hits the sick kick. Miami Vice's members of the Suzuki Gun, a WWE version, as weird as that is. And then we have another pre-show match in which we have, I don't remember if she's been on the show before at this point, or on the pre-show. One Brandy Reed, I don't know who that is, but, it's, again, an OC character, don't steal, takes on Rain, who she defeats in 10 minutes. Pretty decent performance out of one Brandy Reed, so good for her. Hopefully she'll make it onto the main roster sooner than later. And then we have our last pre-show match is we have Bray Wyatt taking on Adam Cole. And Bray Wyatt just dominates the young Adam Cole with the standing senton splash. I would assume it's the Sister Abigail, but that might be like a... I have the Sister Abigail, right? I've started doing some work with the moves, changing them to, like, actual move names and shit. So, forgive me if I'm wrong on that, But, yeah, the standing senton splash, that's how he beats Adam Cole, get jobbed out, kid. You got a long ways before the main roster. And we start the opening of the show as we have The Miz come out, the Miz comes out, he's fresh off a win at Extreme Rules. And he gets a microphone. I guess stop saying basically. It's like the new like. He says that he defeated Dolph Ziggler at Extreme Rules. It was a hard-fought victory. But one thing he wanted to point out is, A, he's The Miz, and he's awesome. B, he's a former WWE champion. And C, he has actually helped pin at least, the World Heavyweight Champion Zack Ryder recently on SmackDown. And he goes, as everyone expects, Miz should be the number one, or, he's speaking like the third person, the number one contender. Of course, this gets boos, and this brings out our World Heavyweight Champion, Zack Ryder, who, and Zack is relatively calm. He goes, Miz, bro, I understand. Now, don't get it twisted. What I'm about to say is not coming out of the heart, bro. You will be the number one contender. I talked to general managers, Markiplier and Tyson Kidd. If this is your first episode, don't worry about it. You are the number one contender because you technically helped pin me and my team at the last episode of SmackDown. The only reason I'm doing this is because you would bitch so much. It would be so annoying. And I would probably just have to give you the match anyway, so you'd shut the hell up. So, bro, you got the match. please don't bother me. I'm a very busy dude now that I'm the World Heavyweight Champion, and I'm soaking up with the fans. I don't have time to waste on a guy like you. And he leaves, and Miz is pissed. Mainly that "don't waste time on a guy like me" line really stirs him up. But commentary talks, this is our SmackDown's version, the main event for Bash at the Beach. It's going to be hype. It's going to be lit. Two guys kind of never really crossed paths, but have a similar gimmick. Hopefully that will be brought up at some point. And yeah, that's going to be our title match. So we're building that pretty much up. Then we have a segment between R-Truth and Damien Sandow. The storyline of this match is R-Truth's kind of, we kind of hit the R-Truth is crazy gimmick a little bit. But he's more crazy now. Not like little Jimmy, but he just kind of is looking around weird and, all this stuff. And at some point during the match, the lights just kind of flicker. It's a very small thing. And, you might be able to figure out who it is. It's not too subtle, but, it's still a thing that happens. Commentary briefly talks about. But, Damien Sandow puts in a good effort, but the corkscrew scissor kick, is that what it was called? I just called it the scissor kick. The scissor kick wins him the day. R-Truth beats Damien Sandow, as expected. And then we have women. They exist. They do exist, and AJ Lee comes out, and she's actually flanked by one Bayley. We've seen her on TV a little bit, but not too much. But AJ's basically there, and in the ring, basically, this is cut from commercial break. In the ring also is one Madison Lane, and they're arguing about who should be the number one contender to the the women's champion, the Divas Championship, I should say. I'm getting used to it. You can tell I've been gone for a little bit. AJ stakes her claims that she was the former champion, and that while she has had opportunities and failed, she is the most competent, capable woman of taking down Astrid, which they need to do because spooky shit is not good. Then we have Madison Lane leaving her case that she's been gone for a while, and now that she has come back, she should have some kind of position here. And she also points out at Bayley, who Bayley is basically, commentator talks about how she's basically not like a sidekick, like a protege. Bayley's learning under AJ Lee because Bayley's a fangirl for AJ Lee. That was an angle they kind of did in NXT at one point, which is pretty good. And they talk about, how come you're depriving young women like this of a title shot? And AJ's like, I'm not old, dumb fuck. And then the Bellas come out, and the whole crowd literally groans because we haven't seen them in a hot minute. And they're like, yeah, we want a title shot. And AJ Lee's like, literally no one gives a fuck. And that's when the women's general secretary, Markiplier, still gotta get used to that, comes out and he's like, ladies, I understand. There is a lot of tension going on right now. And don't get it twisted. I may have worked with Astrid, but I fucking suck at promos today. We have no connection really to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out not only most of the women in this ring right now, but a multitude of women to see who has the ability, who has that shot, earned that shot to go on to face Astrid at Bash at the Beach. Multi-women matches, stuff that really drive the ratings home. Because I want to prove to the world that I am a general manager, even though I've just entered the business of wrestling. And they all seem pretty happy with that, They all would like to have been told that they're the number one contender, but at least a chance that all of them will be able to prove to have that shot. It is pretty substantial. They're pretty good, pretty based, as the kids would like to say. We then have a tag team match between Primo and Epico and the Child Protection Agency. And Primo actually pins Titus O'Neil of the Child Protection Agency while using the ropes for leverage. They run away as the CPA try to get some heat back, and we have Hernandez trying to get fucking Epico and Primo beat the shit out of them, and they have to run away after stealing the win. A pretty nice win for Primo and Epico, who have been suffering a lot on the show. So good for them that they're able to pick up this win here. And afterwards, we have Markiplier. We cut to him in the office, and Tyson Kidd comes up, and he's like, okay, really now? This is what we're doing with, this shit now? And Markiplier's like, what? And he's like, multi-women matches for the Divas title, and he's like, well, you see, the thing is, Tyson, I respect you, and Tyson's like, you don't even know who the fuck I am, and McIntyre's like, I am the women's general manager. I also have a somewhat stake in SmackDown. Tyson's kid's like, who said that? Literally, who the fuck said that? I like, show me one person that actually thinks that. And you hear like a dramatic me, and we turn into CM Punk, and Tyson's kid's like, oh Jesus. And CM Punk's like, yeah, Tyson, got one question. You know, I don't know who the fuck this guy with the weird hair is, but why the fuck am I not on the card tonight? I'm CM Punk. I'm your biggest draft. You drafted me. Now you're not even using me. And Tyson's like, look, I would love to have you in the main event every week. You are a ratings draw, and you are very talented. But tonight's main event has the Perfect Fortunes taking their rematch against Harem for the tag team titles. A title match, I cannot just avoid not having that as the main event. And CM Punk's like, yeah, you could. You could just have that on the lower card, and then me doing whatever I want to do because I'm CM Punk. And Samoa Joe then barges in, and he basically says the same thing. Why am I on the card? To which CM Punk replies, look, Joe, we know each other a lot, but between then and now, I'm leaps and bounds ahead of you in terms of talent, in terms of ratings, in terms of draws. To which then Samoa Joe then goes eye to eye, and he's like, oh, is that really now? And CM Punk's like, Joe, I've fought you before. I'm not like these other guys on this show. I'm not scared of you, Joe. I'm really not. I'm just like Drew was, and hey, look how that turned out. He beat you. To which Samoa Joe then is pissed, and tells the kid, like, okay, let's break it up. He goes, why don't we both have matches on the show tonight? There's some extra space that needs to be filled out, you know, some issues. And CM Punk's like, no, I'm not going to wrestle if it's not the main event. And Samoa Joe goes, yeah, see, that's where I'm different, because I'm going to go out there later on, and I'm actually going to have a match, unlike you, who's just lazy and untalented. And then there's almost like another fight, and Tyson Kidd has to break it up, to which Markiplier's just kind of clapping in the background, like, great job as SmackDown general manager. You're definitely going to get that CEO position. And Tyson Kidd's like, this shit fucking sucks. We then have a match a very good match between Drew McIntyre, Mr. Money in the Bank, and the current NXT champion, Kevin Steen. If you don't remember, the NXT champion can basically, kind of like the tag team champions, can go on both shows. As, you know, anyone from those shows can challenge for that title. So we have a marquee match between Mr. Money in the Bank and the NXT champion. We then see Drew McIntyre defeat Kevin Steen, basically, essentially because, well, not because of, what happens is that Seth Rollins sneaks into the crowd and attacks Kevin Steen. The Shield have basically attacked the NXT champion and the U.S. champion Sami Zayn over on Raw, and now that he's here, it looks like they get another shot. But as this happens, he basically, while the referee's turned around, hits Kevin Steen, and as he goes to like gloat that he did it, the referee, his back is turned. As the referee turns around, he's not able to kick Seth Rollins out because Drew McIntyre does that himself, as he hits him with a massive Claymore kick right in the head, just nailing Seth, and then does the same to Kevin Steen, pinning him for the 1-2-3. Very good match, 85. We then have Drew McIntyre pick up a microphone. He goes, see, that's why I'm Mr. Money in the Bank. I don't need guys to win my matches. I don't need Seth Rollins. I don't know what these Raw people are doing here. But I just beat the NXT champion, who is a great fighter. And he goes, Kevin Steen has a modicum of respect, much like Samoa Joe honestly does. But at the end of the day, it's all about me. It's all about the chosen one, because I'm going to be World Heavyweight Champion. And then Rey Mysterio comes out, and the whole crowd is like, oh, God. And then Rey is like, Drew, you say you're going to be World Heavyweight Champion, but there's two things. One, Sheamus wasn't World Heavyweight Champion. And B, you're not going to win it in an honorable way. And Drew's just confused. And he goes, first off, Sheamus fucking sucks. And I'm no fucking Sheamus, as we've just demonstrated now. Secondly, what are you even talking about, Rey? It's Money in the Bank. Like, yeah, most of the time, if I had the opportunity, I would cash in while the guy's down. But that's the whole point of the briefcase. He's literally shaking it. He's like, Ray, you're so into this honorable shit that most of these people don't even like it. Like, you're just a walking joke at this point. And Ray's kind of genuinely taken aback by these words. And Drew's like, I get it. I get what you're trying to do. But you honestly come off as a holier-than-thou type dude. And you know what? Honestly, Ray, if you have a problem with me, take it up with me later. Because I'm way too busy for this stuff right now. I don't know why everyone's busy on SmackDown, but they just are. And so basically, the whole message of this promo is that fuck Rey Mysterio 2014. He sucks and his gimmick sucks, and he just sucks. And Rey kind of is wondering that too. Maybe it's time for a change for Rey. Maybe Drew's words hold some meaning. We then have Samoa Joe taking that aforementioned match. He's taking the former IC challenger, Jinder Mahal. He did not win the IC title, and he picked a horrible fucking day to come to work because Samoa Joe's pissed, and, you know, he just beats the shit out of poor Jinder Mahal, locks him in the coquina clutch, and taps him out in 8:06. Not much else to really say there. We then see a shocking sight as Lord Tensai is actually beating the fuck out of Colt Cabana, our IC champion. He's just tossing around like a ragdoll. It looks like Lord Tensai is trying to make a mark on the IC champion. All of a sudden, here come the Young Bucks. They make the save. You know, they know Colt Cabana from the indie scene. They put up the Dukes. You know, they threaten to do the super kick. And Lord Tensai, now that it's essentially almost 3-on-1, you know, Colt Cabana's kind of down. So it's more like 2-on-1. He seems like a smart monster, and he backs away as the Young Bucks then tend to our fallen IC champion. You know, what could this mean? You know, yeah, bullshit like that. You get the gist. We then have our main event, which really did not love to. I assume it was a storyline thing, just because of the new storyline. But, you know, whatever. We've had worse. Harem goes on to defeat Perfect Fortunes, retaining their titles. This should have been for the tag titles. I don't know if it doesn't say that or not. But, you know, whatever. We have... We essentially have, you know... This is an undeclared title match in and of itself, I guess. We have... So that really threw me off guard, just the rating in that. But during this match, essentially near the end of it, we had, you know, Yujiro Takahashi's wrestling with Dolph near the end, when all of a sudden the lights flicker for a second, but this time something does actually happen. Ted DiBiase finds himself being attacked by Bray Wyatt. He runs in and he knocks Bray Wyatt off, and the referee is all of a sudden distracted by this. You know, maybe something's going on. You know, the lights flicker again while the referee's trying to find Bray Wyatt. He has reappeared next to Dolph Ziggler, hits him with his sister Abigail. Yujiro Takahashi somehow doesn't notice this. Pins, not that he would really care, pins Dolph Ziggler to retain the tag titles. And that's actually how we end our show. With an 85. You know, rating, you know, main event rating kind of was bad, but, you know, it got the storyline over for the most part. But yeah, no, I like this show. You know, I'm getting into the rhythm of booking stuff, you know, so excuse my fucking cringe. But for the most part, yeah, you know, we're setting up stuff for Bash at the Beach. You know, things are coming together. It's all coming according to plan. So I will see you guys for the next episode of Monday Night Raw on the WWE Save.